Well, hello everyone. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever, la-di-da-di-da. I'm not really into the holiday spirit this year, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I'm bringing this one out a lot earlier than last year's one. Last year's one was 1st of January. This one is 25th or 26th of December. I'm bringing it out early because I've watched just about every movie that I want to watch this year, and I don't want to watch any more, okay? So, and I've watched a lot of great movies this year. There's a lot. But before I get into the top 10 list, I want to make some ground rules that I make every year, okay? First off, this is my list. So this will be, as a lot of people say, very biased. This is all my opinion. So it's not going to be the best rated movie or most critically acclaimed movie. They will be these are my favorite movies, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, really quickly, the system that I use pretty much every year for putting my favorite movies into a top 10 list is, did I love it on first watch? That's the first thing that I consider. Second thing that I consider is how memorable was it? Like, would I still have been thinking about it to this very day? Or 3, was it something that I just had a lot of fun with and that I loved each time I watched it? So they're the 3 ground rules that the 3 things that I consider every year when I watch a movie. And and fair warning, I said this is my opinion, so there may be a couple movies on the honorable mentions list and on the top 10 list that may piss some people off. But like I said, this is all my opinion, okay? So let's just get straight into it with the honorable mentions. The Fate of the Furious, the Lego Batman movie, T2 Trainspotting, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, American Made, Logan Lucky, Justice League, Baby Driver, Beauty and the Beast, Wind Driver, Life. That's all the honorable mentions. That's a lot I just really sped through that because I want to get through that as quick as possible. Okay, so starting off the top 10 list, at number 10 is Star Wars The Last Jedi. I went into this movie with so many expectations and theories, and what I got was a really interesting character-driven movie that managed to please not all of those expectations and theories, but most of them. Unfortunately, though, that whole Canto Bight subplot still drags and is unnecessary because it's a completely separate story with a completely different message that doesn't suit the film at all. So if it weren't for that whole problem concerning the Canto Bight sequence, this movie would be a lot higher up on my list. At number 9 is It. Now, I have a very long thought for this, so I'm going to get through this as quick as possible. Anyway, this is a very character-focused movie, and honestly, I was never scared in it. I just had a lot of fun with it, but there was always this one thing holding me back from really enjoying the movie. And what that was is that I thought the director and or the writers were using horror for scenes and moments that just didn't need it. For example, there were quite a few scenes where the kids would be talking to their parents, and for some reason the parents would look at their kids funny and this creepy background music would come in, and I was confused because these scenes didn't involve the main antagonist Pennywise at all. He's not in them, so I just didn't get it. But then I remembered how I felt as a kid being confronted or just talking to my parents, and the reality is, as at a young age, parents can be a little scary. So then I realized, oh shit, this movie is going even further. It's not just a normal horror movie, it's showing you the kids' fears from their perspective. Once I understood that, I went from liking this movie to absolutely loving this movie. At number 8, Spiderman Homecoming. I'm going to make this short. This movie does follow a lot of the formula and things that a Marvel movie does. It follows the formula. But what made this movie feel so unique and fresh was that it said what it accomplished what it said it was going to be, which is a high school movie, a kid in high school. This felt like a high school movie, and Tom Holland is still perfect as Peter Parker. Coming in at number 7 is War for the Planet of the Apes. I love this movie because it does show war, but it's not the main focus of the film. Instead, this is more of an emotional journey that Caesar and the other apes go on, which starts out as a revenge story and then ends up being a captured to escape story. And you'd think that change in storytelling would ruin the movie or hinder it, but it doesn't. This movie explores its characters so well that there is never a boring moment. At number 6 is Dunkirk. This is a film. This is a film, guys, and I was locked in from the first scene. And what's amazing about this movie is that it doesn't explore its characters in any way whatsoever. There are no scenes or moments explaining or showing us their past, what's waiting for them at home, or explaining their motivations. The reality is that no one in this situation would care, right? And yet I was invested in every action scene, in every line of dialogue, because this is just a really damn exciting and thrilling war film. At number 5 is John Wick Chapter 2. I was infatuated with this movie. This one has been called an action lover's wet dream, which is the most apt description that I could agree with concerning this movie. And it's because of this sequel that I went from only liking John Wick due to the first one to loving John Wick due to this one. This is everything I want an action sequel to be. And what another movie this year kind of failed to do. At number 4 is Get Out. This movie follows a black man who's in a relationship with a black girl, and they go up to visit her parents. And when they get there, he finds that the only black people in the area all work for these rich white families. And we learn that slavery, or sex slavery, might be a possibility. That alone scared the shit out of me, but the movie takes it one step further and reveals an even darker truth that completely took me off guard and surprised me. I loved the big reveal, and I won't spoil it because you need to experience this movie for yourself. At number 3 is a movie that I just recently watched again, Mother. Before I watched this movie the first time, I already had my top 10, this top 10 list organized, so I nearly missed out on this movie. And I had that feeling that I should probably watch that one movie everyone was talking about, and I am so glad that I did. I was enthralled by this movie, just fascinated with everything that happened in it. And what I love about this movie so much is that it has so many different meanings and ways to interpret it that it really does speak to the viewer on a personal level. At number 2 is Wonder Woman. I freaking loved this movie. I went into this movie with so much hope that it would be a good movie, and that's what I got back. This movie was full with hope. It explored, that it explored so many things, that humanity is really shitty, but it also showed hope and everything that I want a superhero movie to be, but most of the time these days just isn't. Alright guys, this is the one. This is the movie that I loved. Oh my gosh. This movie is so good. I wouldn't say it's better than all the others that I've mentioned before it, but I just loved it so much more than them. What it is at number 1, Logan. I freaking love this movie. I don't know what else to say about it. I've already done a review for it, so if you want to get my in-depth thoughts on the movie, go watch that review. Here's the annotation, but I don't know what else to say about this movie. I've already said it. This movie just completely took me to a place. This was a dark, depressing movie, but it had enough light to it that it was compelling. I was invested in all the characters. X-23 was freaking awesome. She was awesome. Xavier was different, but still the same Xavier that we've seen before. And Logan, man, I felt for this guy. This movie was... This movie is... What's so weird about the Wolverine movies is that X-Men Origins Wolverine is the worst X-Men movie by far. And yet, when his third movie comes out, it becomes the best X-Men movie by so far. It is amazing how far the Wolverine movies have come to this point. And thank you, James Mangold. You did such a good job. I love the Wolverine. I love this movie. So, man, this movie beat Days of Future Past for me. Days of Future Past was my most favorite X-Men movie. This one just knocked it completely out of the park. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, if any did. This year I am going to, I don't know about this yet because I haven't really prepared anything, but I may or may not do a top 10 worst movies of the year. I don't know if it's going to be 10 worst movies. It may be like 7 or 8, but it's going to be my top worst movies of 2017. I don't know if I'm going to do that because I have seen a couple movies that were disappointing, but it's not enough to make an entire video out of. So I'm going to see how that one goes. Keep around for it. I'll see you guys in next year. I can't wait for what comes next year. See you guys then.